The US B-21 Spirit, a brand new bomber. Intimidating looks, massive weapons payload, and the ability to go undetected into the enemy territory, Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit is the single most fearsome stealth bomber in the world. With the ability to carry hundreds of conventional bombs and 16 thermonuclear bombs at the same time, one unit of B-2 is enough to raze a whole city to the ground. But apparently, that's not enough to satisfy the US. While the world was trying to come up with strategies to beat the B-2 Spirit, Northrop Grumman has been silently working on a new stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider, the one that would leave even the B-2 Spirit behind. So, how powerful is this new US bomber? Stay tuned as we look at the incredible features of the new B-21 Raider stealth bomber, and just what makes it worth a massive $550 million. Brief history. The B-21 Raider gets its name from the iconic Doolittle Raiders of the US Army Air Force, who delivered a surprise blow to the Japanese during World War II. This attack was so intense that it forced Japan to recall its combat forces back for home defense. This gave a boost to the morale of the US and Allied forces. In the same manner, the B-21 is envisioned to be a lethal bomber that would keep the enemies on their toes and the Allies over the top. It all started with the Air Force's Long-Range Stealth Bomber, LRS-B program. Looking at the requirements specified by the Air Force, it was a very ambitious program to say the least. The Air Force wanted an advanced, very long-range intercontinental bomber with an especially heavy weapons payload. And of course, it was going to be a stealth bomber like the B-2. But unlike the B-2, it wasn't going to be just a bomber. It would be an intelligence gatherer, battle manager, and also an interceptor aircraft. In October 2015, Northrop Grumman won the contract for the development of this advanced bomber, an obvious choice really, considering the extraordinary job that they did out of the B-2 Spirit. Like the B-2 program, this program too has been subject to a lot of secrecy. So much so that the Air Force refused to even reveal the estimated cost of the B-21 contract with Northrop Grumman, stating that it would reveal too much information to the adversaries. However, one thing that did come out was that the cost was the deciding factor in selecting Northrop Grumman for the job. The critical design review of the program was completed in December of 2018, and long story short, as of March 2022, the first B-21 Raider has moved out of the production facility and into a calibration facility for ground testing. Currently, 6 B-21 Raiders are being manufactured at US Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, the same plant that was used for the production of the B-2. But this is just the start. The Air Force's goal is to acquire 100 of these aircraft that would eventually replace the Rockwell B-1 Lancers and the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit bombers. Although the Air Force is keeping its lips sealed about the capabilities and specifications of this 21st century bomber, the official renderings reveal a lot of information. Specifications. Stealth. From the Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk to the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, stealth technology has evolved, and so has radar and self-defense systems. The B-2 has effectively showcased just how lethal stealth can be in bombing missions, but there's a lot of untapped potential in this technology left. People generally have a misconception regarding stealth. It is not a single feature of a plane that makes it a stealthy aircraft. Rather, it's an all-encompassing design approach, a combination of features that makes a plane harder to detect on the radar. The stealth technology has continued to improve and evolve, and the lessons learned from the previous experiences with stealth and the latest developments in this field will all be incorporated into this new US stealth bomber to take the stealth game to a whole other level. Design. The new bomber will be following its predecessor in most of its design specifications. Just like the B-2, the engines will be embedded into the design at the rear, which would protect the exhaust from the IR locators, another feature that makes the plane more stealthy. One of the things that do seem different in the official renderings when compared with the B-2 is an extended nose section of the B-21 Raider. Also, it appears that the nose leg would be made shorter and placed further aft in the nose compartment. Furthermore, the number of windscreens also appears to be reduced from the 4 in the B-2 Spirit to 2 in the B-21. Finally, the engine inlet seems to be integrated closer to the center mass of the fuselage, which would effectively reduce the overall length of the fuselage. All these small changes in the design appear to have reduced the size of the bomber when compared with the massive B-2 Spirit. Other than these design changes, there could be specialized variants of B-21 that would carry advanced radar equipment for searching, tracking, and engaging the enemy on board. This would make it capable of holding its own against the enemy fighters if it gets followed on an off chance. Speed and thrust. Northrop Grumman is most likely going to go for 2 Pratt & Whitney turbofan engines to power this flying nightmare. Each of these powerful engines would give the bomber a thrust of around 15,000 pounds, making it possible for the plane to go at near sonic speeds at a ceiling of 49,000 feet. Subsonic and sonic speeds may sound a bit ordinary in a world that's pushing towards hypersonic speeds, but there's a good reason for it. The B-21's priority is to penetrate enemy space without being detected. While supersonic speed does sound impressive, there are a number of reasons why neither the B-2 nor the B-21 would be able to achieve it. First off, supersonic speeds also mean a lot of sound due to sonic booms, which we don't want in a stealth aircraft. The role of the B-21, like the B-2, would be to go into the enemy's airspace undetected, complete the mission, and then exit the space undetected. For this, subsonic speeds are the best bet. The other main reason for subsonic speed is the flying wing design. While the flying wing design offers minimum drag, it becomes too unstable at supersonic speeds. It may not be a super fast plane, but its long fuel range, in-flight refueling capabilities, stealth, and a very high ceiling would enable it to go to any place in the world and strike the most protected of targets without getting shot itself. Firepower. As for the firepower of the Raider, judging from the size of the blended fuselage, it should be able to carry 50,000 pounds of ordnance, which would include both the conventional and nuclear-tipped bombs and missiles. For its nuclear arsenal, it would be capable of carrying a multitude of nuclear bombs, ranging from the B-61 variable yield nuclear gravity bomb to the long-range standoff nuclear cruise missile. Combine that with modern conventional weapons like the Lockheed Martin's long-range anti-ship missile and the Boeing's GPS-guided joint direct attack munition, and you've got yourself a perfect recipe for destruction. We've discussed the brief history of the new American bomber and some of its amazing specs, but was there even a need for such an extravagant project? Currently, America's bomber fleet consists of 62 B-1B Lancers, 58 B-52 Stratofortress, and 20 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. It appears a good number on paper, but the older bombers, especially the Lancers, have been facing a lot of problems lately, and questions have been raised regarding their mission readiness. Similarly, the B-52 Stratofortress has been in service since 1955, and they too need upgrades. Since both of these aircraft have been in service for a long time now, they need regular upgrades, and their operating costs have also soared with time. So, the Air Force's intent of upgrading its bomber fleet sounds logical, but why a new bomber? Aren't we forgetting a bomber here? The B-2 fleet of the Air Force has seen sizable success, and it is still the only stealth bomber in the world. Also, being relatively younger, it doesn't face the problems encountered by its elder siblings. So, why didn't the Air Force just order more of these? Has the B-2 outlived its usefulness already? We mentioned something about the $550 million price tag at the start of our video. It might seem like a lot of money for one aircraft, especially since one unit of an F-35 costs around $80 million. But this is actually a huge improvement over the B-2 Spirit, whose one unit cost around $2.1 billion, not to mention the huge maintenance costs of the aircraft. Stealth isn't affordable for everyone, it seems. Although the advanced manufacturing techniques required for stealthy features are widely considered to be the reason for the price tag, it also had to do with a very small order of just 20 aircraft for such a huge project. Since the high-tech production line for the manufacturing of the plane cost a ton of money, the price would definitely be higher if only 20 aircraft were to be built. Price may have played a role, but the rules of the game have also changed since the production of the B-2 Spirit. Although the B-2 Spirit still seems to be very effective in penetrating the enemy defenses, it won't be the case for long. With the emergence of new air defense systems like the Russian Su-400, there is a need for an even stealthier bomber.